No one likes change. You're going to need to be able to lead people through change they don't want to walk through. You have to be present in their fear. You have to be walking alongside them and giving them pace and vision and time and presence, because they're going to get to peace themselves. You cannot give it to them. Nobody comes to peace by being given peace. I want to offer you a soulful framework for navigating change. Let's talk about change. It has always been true that if you want to lead and you want to do so well, you're going to need to be able to manage change. And more than that, you're going to need to be able to lead people through change they don't want to walk through. And in order to do so, you're going to have to understand the anatomy of change. Perhaps this conversation has never been more important, because we're living in a world of polycrisis, a constant state of chaos and change and complexity and flux, magnified by the heating of the earth and the resultant environmental impact, the mass migration of people across the earth's surface, the advent of AI, global growth stuck at about 3%, cybercrime, not to mention the threats of a pandemic. It's all coming together at once and compounding to create something that we've never experienced before. So when Bennis and Nunes talked about VUCA, V-U-C-A, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, as a description of the world post-Cold War, they could never have imagined how true they were, how right they were, and how much worse it would get. Never has a leader's ability to manage change, more importantly, to lead his or her people through that change, be more important. It's always been a challenge, because here's the thing: no one likes change. Even the people who say they like change only like the change they came up with, the change that was their idea. And so to lead change, you need to not only understand it, you need to make it palatable for the people who are going to walk through it. I want to offer you a soulful framework for navigating change. Let's understand the anatomy of change. Change happens when disruption occurs. It might happen to you, a firing, a death, a pandemic, a cell, a merger, or you might bring it about. In fact, you might become very adept at bringing about disruption, so you might help people walk through change. One of my greatest leadership coaches, Jimmy, often says to me, "Big man, disrupt yourself." He's always saying you cannot grow in a comfort zone. You grow in a disruption zone. So if you're not in disruption right now, you have to disrupt yourself, or you might stagnate. Disruption starts change. The second phase is disorientation. Sometimes disruption leads to a mild disorientation. On other occasions, it leads to a hot mess, because you just don't know which way is up anymore. We used to do it this way. We now can't do it that way. The third stage is acceptance. Disruption, disorientation, acceptance. Usually things calm down. And what you experience is a growing acceptance of a new reality, a new order, a new orientation. The facts might not have changed. The change might still be happening around you, but your perspective changes. The fourth stage is adoption. Disruption, disorientation, acceptance, adoption. When the mist is all cleared and the perspectives shifted, we're now into new territory. The old has gone, the new has come. And you know what? The new might actually be better than the old. Now that's the anatomy of change. Disruption, disorientation, acceptance, adoption. But what is far, far more important and far more interesting is the psychology of change. What happens to people, what happens with people in the guts of change. Handle this well, you stand a chance of shifting from change averse to change agent to leading people well in this moment. Disruption leads to loss. In disruption, people experience loss. You have lost something. When the pandemic came about, you lost something. You lost your freedom. Perhaps you lost some people. You need to sit in that loss. Disorientation leads to fear. The world may never be the same again. Will I ever experience what I experienced before? Will I have the people back that I used to have? There comes into a person an experience of fear, but acceptance leads to peace. Do you know, when my father died, I experienced loss. It's not going to help me if someone says, actually, he's in a good place, it's going to be okay. I had to just experience that loss. And then I experienced fear because I didn't know whether the world would ever be the same again. He was my best friend. But there came a moment, one day, I woke up in the morning and the circumstances hadn't changed. My father was still dead. But I woke up thinking, do you know what? I think it's going to be okay. And there was no rhyme or reason to it. It was just the reality of the situation. And then I came to hope. Maybe I'll be a better person and a better leader without my father. Doesn't mean I don't miss him, but the reality is different right now. Acceptance leads to peace, and adoption leads to hope. Understanding that journey, loss, fear, peace, hope is going to be a game changer for you for leading people through a process, for recognizing it and giving space for it. 3 mistakes that leaders make all the time when it comes to change. Mistake number 1, if you're a good leader and you love people, you want to rush to hope. You're desperate to circumnavigate the process. You don't like to live in loss and fear, and you don't want to wait for people to get to peace, so you impose it upon them and you announce hope. So when the pandemic came, I saw this happening all the time. Okay, so we're all locked down, it's going to be difficult, and we can't do gatherings, and we can't have this, and we must do that. But, there's coming a time, guys, when it's going to be okay. We've got this covered. We go on an offsite, we make a plan, we decide that it's going to be okay, and we announce to the world it's going to be okay. The problem is nobody believes you because they're experiencing loss and fear, and you're announcing hope. And it undermines your leadership, but more than that, it just pushes them into a loss-fear loop. You're not allowing them to process the situation. What they're experiencing is loss and fear, and what you're talking about is hope. You have to walk through loss with them. You have to be present in their fear. You have to be walking alongside them and giving them pace and vision and time and presence, because they're going to get to peace themselves. You cannot give it to them. Nobody comes to peace by being given peace. They come to peace themselves. You can't manipulate it. It's going to happen when it happens. The second mistake we make is trying to give people peace. We're always trying to do it. We want people to be at peace, so we tell people to be at peace, and that has never worked in the history of humanity. You can't tell people to be at peace because what they're experiencing is not peace. You have to create the conditions and the culture and the soil for the potential of peace and allow people to get to it themselves. The way they get to it themselves is by you walking through loss with them, you recognizing that they're going through fear and helping them walk through fear and allowing them to get to peace. If they get to peace, they can get to hope. And if they can get to hope, they can embrace change of all kinds going forward. The third mistake we make is we take a fool's choice. We think that it's either assertion or empathy. It's either assertion or empathy. It's either drive them or care for them. And the truth is, all great leadership is a calibration of those two things. It's not binary. A leader I once admired once told me that when it's wartime, when you've got to roll up your sleeves and get to it, you just need to be a command control leader, because that's what's needed. You need to tell people where to go and what to do. What is vital is you don't listen to that piece of advice. It is always support and challenge. It's always presence and push. It's always grace and truth. It's always safety and stretch. And it requires your understanding of the anatomy of change. And it requires your care for the psychology of change, which will enable you to stop just being change averse and your organization saying, not another change coming down the road, and will help you become a change agent who is trusted with change. Friends, the key to this is how you as a leader carry hope. Leaders offer hope in change. That's what great leaders do. In the middle of difficulty, in the middle of disruption, they embody and carry hope. And it looks different in each phase of change. Hope looks like honesty in disruption. It looks like you saying, I know you're losing something. I'm not pretending you're not losing something. I'm losing it as well, but I do believe that something better is coming. Hope looks like empathy in disorientation. It looks like you being present and being able to walk alongside people who are in fear and not pretending that you're not fearful yourself. Hope looks like patience in acceptance. It looks like you allowing people to come to a peace that you desperately want to give them, but you know you can't. And hope looks like celebration in adoption. It looks like you allowing someone else to have the victory. You got there, we're going to be good. Trade in hope, leaders, and do it wisely. And you'll become a change agent because you have navigated that change circle. Understanding change and bravely navigating yourself and people through it is going to be gold for you.